It is a dark time for the fandom. Evil forces of corporate greed and malfeasance have conspired to render the once proud franchise a shadow of its former self. Left with no other alternative, Rebels return to a time when things were fun and hopeful, a time of legends. Welcome to X-Wing Redux.
Shuttle departing.
Welcome everybody to Star Wars X-Wing Redux. Last mission, finished up the X-Wing historicals and the proving grounds in an X-Wing. So today, it's time to start on the Y-Wing historicals. So this is going to be another mixture of training and semi-combat missions, but let's get rolling. Off to the flag, well, leaving the flagship and all that fun. Okay, here we go. Y-Wing, Mission 1, Commerce Raid.
Several cargo containers are being readied for shipment by space tugs. A number of freighters will arrive to dock with the containers. Y-Wings from Red Squadron will pop up out of hyperspace here. Destroy all containers and freighters to disrupt Imperial commerce. Be alert to the arrival of new ships. Withdraw if they are warships. Several cargo containers are being readied for shipment by space tugs.
Okay, commerce raiding is a fundamental tactic of the rebellion. Without the armament to match the Empire's military might, we must strike them where they are most vulnerable. This is at the source of Imperial power. It's commerce. By disrupting trade, we can undermine the Empire and its control of entire sectors of space. Through hidden fade raids, we deny the Empire its very lifeblood and weaken the strength of the Imperial fleet. Though the Alliance desperately needs the very ships and supplies we are destroying, we lack the resources to execute large-scale liberations of Imperial equipment. In this mission, 2 pilots from Red Squadron were able to destroy a large convoy of valuable freighters and containers left momentarily unprotected at a staging area in the Bonadan system. Use your sensors and the targeting system to fix your targets and plan your attack. Remember, your torpedoes are your most powerful weapon, so use them wisely. Weaken each container or freighter with a torpedo first, then finish it off with your lasers. Shift power is needed to keep your lasers fully charged. Keep destroying the Empire's material until the arrival of the frigate, then withdraw. Alright, well, off we go then. Alright, so we have a ton of hostiles. And I'm going to go with a little bit of charge into the lasers. Or a little bit of additional charge into the lasers, I should say. And start by picking off that tug. The biggest problem with the Y-Wing is just that it's painfully slow. On the advantages side,
nice shot. Target destroyed.
its weapons are in that nice tight group in the nose.
Target destroyed.
So you can generally hit things a lot better. One thing that I'm also going to do is completely ignore the guidance about using torpedoes, and if it's not an active threat to me and or doesn't need to be killed immediately / urgently, it gets lasers only.
Target destroyed.
Though sometimes I'll switch over to the ion cannon just to use that energy instead. So that's... and switch back to the lasers to
Target destroyed.
destroy things. Ion blasts travel just a little bit slower, but doesn't really matter. At least not with stationary targets.
Target destroyed.
All right. Lasers are pretty much full up.
Target destroyed.
Seeing some other things jumping in, so get to those eventually here. And new freighter. It's funny to think about.
Target destroyed. Target destroyed.
Like the technological progression in Star Wars, at least as far as the spaceships go, is really a reflection of how
Target destroyed.
American, I mean, not just American, really how aviation, military combat, military aviation technology kind of grew and matured, I think. Just think about this, right? The first Star Wars movie came out in 1977. America's frontline primary fighter in 1977 was the F-4. Nothing wrong with the
Target
Phantom.
disabled.
Everybody loves the Phantom.
Target
But-
destroyed.
20 years prior to that, America's frontline fighter was, for the Air Force, was probably still the F-86 Sabre, very soon to be replaced by the first of the Century Series fighters, the F-100 Super Sabre,
Target destroyed.
and then you get other aircraft as well. But the point is, a fighter generation was 20 years maybe at best. Probably less than that. There's that Nebulon B frigate we were warned about. Well, I'm not leaving just yet. Well, now we've got company. So, the thing that's interesting is kind of, in Star Wars, there's this whole thing of the Y-Wing comes along at the end of, or at least during, the Clone Wars, right? You get that in the cartoons and all that
Target
stuff.
destroyed.
Okay, this freighter I actually am going to need to put a couple torpedoes on. And then 20 years later, give or take, is the original trilogy. Actually, I don't want to use torps on this because I want to save my torps so that I can actually go after that Nebulon B.
Roger. Got him.
No.
Roger. Using designated target.
Send my wingman after him first. But anyway, so there's this whole idea of, right, the Y-Wing is an old ship at this point. It's old, it's beat up. At least the ones the rebels have are pretty beat up. And it's obsolete. But the rebels are still using it because, you know, they'll use everything that they can. They don't have a choice. Which, to be fair, I mean, 20 years... Yeah. When the Phantom was the U.S.'s most modern fighter, I mean, there's still Phantoms in a handful of countries' inventories right now in the year of our Lord 2024. Now, there's only a handful of countries still operating, and most of them, other than Iran, are all looking to phase them out very, very soon. But, you know, they're still operating them. And so it's kind of this interesting conceit that, you know, in 1977, it seemed like, oh yeah, fighter generation is probably like 20 years, right? Because, you know, even at that point, I mean, Phantoms are still the top dog, but the F-14, the F-15, the F-16, the FA-18 are all either making their first flights, starting to come online. Like, the next generation of fighters is already here. It's on the horizon. You know, fast forward another decade to the 80s, and you're starting to see the first design ideas for the Raptor, certainly in the 90s, right? The Raptors flying, being built, and of course, at that point, it's going to totally replace the F-15. And, you know, again, it's like, yeah, lifespan of a fighter generation is like 20 years or so. So it makes sense that the Y-Wing is obsolete after 20 years, and we're getting rid of it, and we're replacing it with stuff. Well, here we are in 2024, and Lockheed Martin is still building new F-16s. Yeah, they're building F-35s too, but the F-35 never replaced the F-16. Maybe it will someday, but, you know, is that realistic? I don't know. Hard to say. You know, gets into F-35 questions, I suppose. But it's just this whole thing of, yeah, you know, we've got now 50-year-old fighter designs, and that seems like a totally reasonable thing. which... Oh. Okay, I gotta deal with this pest. Which, that just... I can't imagine... That was probably unimaginable in the 80s. No. But, I mean, we've got... The U.S. Air Force is going to fly the B-52 until 2050. Now, they just put... they're putting new engines on the B-52. By the time they retire that thing, if they actually retire it in 2050, some of those airframes will be close to 90 years old. Some of those airframes probably will be 90 years old by the time they're retired. It's kind, you know, and then again on fighters, Lockheed's still building brand new F-16s, not on the exact same assembly line as the F-35, but they're still building new F-16s. Yeah, granted, a F-16 from, you know, a new build Block 70 F-16 is a vastly different aircraft internally to what a new build Block 10 F-16A was in, you know, rolling off the assembly line in 1978 kind of thing. But even so, I mean, you know, and most of the new ones, they've got all these conformal external fuel tanks because you can never have enough gas. Okay, that's the last freighter. And apparently I shot all the fighters off the frigate, so forget about it. I'm going to go out to max range. And chuck some torpedoes at this thing. Because this is the best thing about a Y-wing, or a B-wing, is fire torpedoes. Switch to ion cannons. And shoot that thing until the shields go down. With the torpedoes doing an excellent job of starting off. Now again, it's one of those things where I really wish, I really truly wish that I had something to indicate what the shields on that thing were, because that would be helpful. Versus just trying to make attack runs. That was... Okay, that was a little sketchy. But, you know... Just get out of range here. Rebuild my shields. And keep making passes for a bit. But yeah, it's just, it's crazy. And kind of circle this back, right? The whole thing with Star Wars. You know, when the expanded universe really came when the EU got a lot better in the 90s, right? And everybody's going, oh, why are they still using Y-Wings 20 years after the end of Return of the Jedi? That's ridiculous. That's unrealistic. Well, turns out... Now, mind you, if I were doing a tier list of... Or not a tier list, but if I were doing a comparison of what fighters map to what actual aircraft, I would probably, and okay, this might be a controversial opinion. I have no idea. But like, okay. Y-Wing is the F4 Phantom, right? It's old. It was really awesome for its time, but now it's kind of old. It's definitely sort of your second line ship. But still good, still lethal, and still usable within its parameters. Now, X-Wing obviously is an F-16 or an FA-18 if you prefer, right? Because it's the multi-role, does everything ship. You know, it does attack, it does air superiority, it does everything. Let's see. B-Wing. Oh. Alright, well, I'm not getting the, not killing that frigate after all. Pick up this conversation next time, I suppose. Alright. Battle patch awarded. Mission goals complete. And bunch kills. Decent score. Hey, thanks for watching, everyone. I've seen some questions about scoring in this version of the game versus the original version of the game Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. Central Time. Because thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. So that's going to be it for now. Thanks for watching, everyone, and we'll see you on the next one.